All right, welcome everybody. Like I said, this is the second in our webinar series. And today we are going to be focusing on Google Slides in adult education. And I have a guest presenter here. Do you want to go on to the next slide? And we'll introduce ourselves. So I'm Susan Wettenkamp-Brandt. I'm the Educational Technology Manager at Literacy Minnesota. And I supervise our direct service, distance learning and digital literacy work, but I am also the lead on the statewide distance learning and technology support team. And so I do a lot of training, and that's the hat I'm wearing today. And Staci, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Staci Landsem with Lakes Area Adult Education in Detroit Lakes. I kind of do a little bit of everything there. We're a one-room schoolhouse, so there's quite a bit of different things I do.
All right, so a little housekeeping before we jump in. We will have time for questions after each kind of topic that we talk about. So if you can hold your questions for then, that would be helpful. You can keep your cameras and microphones off, except when asking a question. That would be helpful because it saves bandwidth for everybody. But you can also feel free to post questions in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat while Staci is presenting. So I'll be trying to respond to things or call things to her attention as she's going through the content. So look forward to an engaging session and answering all your questions. So our agenda for today, I'm going to do a little bit of focus on the Google Applied Digital Skills curriculum and some of the different lessons that you can find in there on using Google Slides and teaching your students to use Google Slides. And then I'm going to turn it over to Staci, and she's going to be talking about a lot of the teacher tools that she makes with her Google Slides, including things for screen sharing, worksheets, printable worksheets, and fun and interactive slideshows. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of her examples. She's done some really creative stuff. All right, go ahead on. So I'm going to be sending these slides out after the session to everybody who came today. And so I wanted to put all the links to the Google Applied Digital Skills lessons right on the slides so you'd have them. But I'm not going to walk through on the slides. I'm actually going to take you directly there. So Staci, if you want to stop the screen sharing, I can bring up the screen sharing of the actual Google Applied Digital Skills here. So the first one, can everybody see that okay? All right, so the first one I wanted to talk about is one of the most popular lessons in Google Applied Digital Skills. If you are a teacher and you go there and you say browse resources, it's going to be one of the first ones that pops up. It's a very popular and commonly used lesson, and it's basically just teaching students how to make a presentation using slides. So it's just create a presentation all about a topic. And I want to show you some of the features of Google Applied Digital Skills that you might not know about if you haven't used it as a teacher before. So I'm logged in here with my teacher login, which means that I can add this lesson as an assignment to any class that I have set up with my teacher login. I can also just start doing lessons myself as a teacher if I want to do that. If you scroll down though, you can actually see a lot more information. So each one of these will tell you about how long it takes on average for somebody to go through the lesson. It tells you specifically which tools are being focused on in the lesson. So in this case, you're doing some Google search and then you're using slides. Sometimes it's interdisciplinary. It might do slides and sheets and docs and a bunch of other things. But the ones that I've pulled out to focus on are specifically about slides. And then it tells you specific skills within those tools. So this is just basically slide design, how to format a presentation, and then how to share something that you've researched about. And then if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see all the specific items that are in the lesson. So you can see here, there are 6 different videos. and then there's a quiz, and then there's some extra practice extensions that people could do if they want to do more on that topic. And then these videos walk the student through how to do a thing, and they will explicitly tell the student, open another tab and do these things, right? So a student would need to be able to navigate between different tabs, pause the video, go try something, come back to the video, go try something. So just keeping that in mind as sort of the base level digital literacy skill that is needed to really make use of this content. And we'll look at one of the videos in a little bit. So I want to show you some features there too. But also up here, next to the activities section, there's also a teaching materials section. So they will have additional content in here if you're logged in as a teacher. So you can actually download the videos. This would be particularly helpful if you are teaching in a place where you don't have good Wi-Fi and you want to be able to share the videos with your students on a screen in front of the classroom or something like that. Or maybe you're in a correctional facility and you don't have internet access and you want to just download the videos and show them to your students. That's an option here. There'll be a lesson plan for almost all these lessons that explain what the objectives are and give you ideas about how to walk your students through these different lessons and materials. And most of the Google Applied Digital Skills lessons are sort of project-based. The students are making things that they're going to share with you. So there's oftentimes a rubric that can be used to score or give feedback on the product that the student has made. So in this case, here is the rubric, is the student at a beginning level, developed, accomplished, or exemplary? You can give a score if you're using a graded type of system, or you can just circle right where they're at. You can leave comments. So you can also add to that. So it's got a big section at the bottom where you can add your own student outcomes, maybe something about the topic that they're researching. So just wanted to share some of those kind of teacher resources that are available to you when you're logged in as a teacher. And then I'm going to go into one of the videos. So you can see some of the student-friendly features in there. Now, I didn't turn on audio sharing on my presentation here, so I can play this. You're not going to hear it.
In this video, you will choose a theme for your presentation. You will also add 3 slides and fill in the text on your titles.
But what you can see is that it always starts with an actual human being who's doing the presentation. And then as you move into it, it's going to actually be more of a hands-on type with the content, and they'll highlight certain things and focus on buttons that students are learning about and what they do. One of the nice things about these presentations, these videos, are features down at the bottom. You can turn on a transcript that student can read along with the text. So this is really helpful if you do have deaf or hard of hearing students, or students whose English language skills are better in reading than they are in listening. They might get a lot out of having the transcript available down here. And you can also change the playback speed. So currently I have it set to slow. By default, it goes to normal, but I had turned it down to slow, which means that the speaker is slowed down his rate of speech, but also the tracking of the material, the mouse clicks on the instructions are also slowed down. So if students are having a little bit trouble following all of this stuff, they can maybe try and turn this playback speed down a little bit. And then of course, because it's a video, students can go back and rewatch if they need to do that. Down here at the bottom, it tracks where you are in the lesson. So I had skipped item 1 and I went straight on to item 2, and you can see that's where I am, and I can move on to the next thing and the next thing. So they're pretty well sequenced, and it's pretty easy to navigate through and find the next piece in your lesson. And there's always some instructions over here on the sidebar to telling you what you should be practicing at the time that you're working on that lesson. And I do see there's a point in the chat. Carol is asking, can the transcript feature be in other languages? No, because it's an actual like transcript of exactly the words that he is saying. I think though that some of the lessons are available in Spanish and possibly some other languages. The only one I know for sure is Spanish. All the stuff that I have assembled is in English, but I'm pretty sure that Google has some Spanish language content too. Good question though. And then I'll just show you a couple of the other ones that I had highlighted. This is a Create a Digital Picture Book, which I thought is a kind of an interesting idea for adult English language learners. If you have students who have smartphones and can take pictures, they could do a story presentation that would help them express their language skills with visual supports. So thinking about telling about their family or about something they like to cook or things in their community or any other kind of vocabulary that you're working on in your English language class. You could have students take photos with their phones and then make a digital picture book and explain it and share it with their classmates or with you. And then another one I thought was pretty clever that a lot of students might like to try would be practicing spelling words. So this is teaching students how to use a slide deck to practice spelling. So it walks you through putting a picture and spelling the word and then deleting letters from the spelling words. And so then you bring up the slide deck as a sort of a flashcard, and then you try to spell the word and you insert the missing letters. So it's kind of a neat idea of helping students use their digital literacy to make learning materials for themselves. So I thought it was kind of a cool one. Any questions about digital applied skills, how the curriculum works, anything like that? No questions? If there are no questions, I am going to stop screen sharing and turn it back over to Staci. Are there minimum requirements for the type of device? There probably are, but I don't know what they are off the top of my head. I would think that one of the more pressing concerns would be a really strong internet connection, because all of the videos are all of the lessons are video based, and they're not low bandwidth, like low production quality videos, right? They're high production quality. So they're probably going to take a fair amount of bandwidth to be able to play those and not end up buffering all the time. But I would think that because it's focusing on, for the most part, Google skills, if you've got a computer with a browser that can run Google Drive in a Chrome browser, I think you should be good to go. Any other questions? All right, then I will stop sharing. I'll turn it back over to Staci.
All right, so I'm going to be going.
Actually, we do have a question. Somebody's got their hand up, Staci, before you get started.
Oh,
Deb
sure.
Hall has her hand up. Want to unmute yourself and ask your question, Deb?
That was my cat walking on my computer again.
It figures. All right,
Thank you. I didn't know she did that.
then take it away, Stacy.
All right. So I'm going to be showing you how to create a reusable tool for screen sharing. I chose number lines just because they're so versatile. You can use them for fractions and absolute value. You can, so many different things. So in the chat, Susan will be sharing a link, and it will prompt you to open up or create a copy. Instructions will be in there, and you can kind of follow along if you want and create a number line. So, the first thing to do is just select which line you want to create. Usually, it's a straight line. If you hold down the shift key while you're creating your line, it makes it much easier to create a straight line. And once you have your line created, then you can choose the ends you prefer. So if you're doing a number line where it's going to keep going, you can choose your arrows. If you want to do kind of more of an equation type number line, you can choose your closed circle, your open circle. So it said request access. That's weird.
Yeah, I'm getting the same message on mine.
Hmm.
Yeah, said I don't have access.
Okay. Let me.
You want to pause for just a second and go
Yep.
change the settings to
Yep, just a second.
anybody with the link can view.
Let's see. I did all of this earlier today too. Okay.
Yep, now it shows. Looks good now.
Weird. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I had all of the permissions changed earlier today. Okay. And then you can choose your line thickness. So right next to up in the tabs, you can see where there's the little dotted lines, the little hamburger. You can choose how thick you want your line depending on how you prefer it. So once you have your number line created, then you can start creating dashes. So you'll just make one little mini line and then copy and paste the rest into place. So if you just copy and paste, they'll show up like this on your screen. But as you create them, it's really easy to just move them up or down with your arrow keys and put them exactly kind of where you want them. I usually just have them all close together like this until I'm ready to distribute them. And then I move my two end pieces to where I want them and select all of the little dashes. And under the Arrange tab, then you can hit distribute and horizontally, or if you're making a vertical line, you can make it vertical. So, and that's really it. The number lines are really, once you figure out how to do it and get everything where you want it, it's pretty easy, and they're fun to reuse, and you can use them to annotate on your screen. And
you use those in your live classes that you're teaching?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So let me go back to one here. So I'll use this and I'll annotate. And so I'll have like 0, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll ask what's the absolute value of 1, or where would 1/2 fall on the number line. And so they can annotate and interact with it as we go in screen
So you're
sharing
using
mode.
the Zoom annotate feature. You turn that on, your students can mark up your number line as you're presenting. Well, that's really clever.
So that's what, yeah, that's my favorite thing about them, is it's just so easy to create them exactly how I want them and change from one level to another very easily with them. So,
And I did not know about the distribute function on Arrange. That's really a smart thing to
Mhm.
do. Because I was going to ask, how do you make sure that the lines are distributed, like the spacing is equal?
Evenly,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Because if I were going to freehead it, it probably wouldn't be quite right.
It's so much easier than you think it's going to be, because yeah, the first time I did it, it was awful. Until I figured out the distribute piece, and then it was like, oh, this is so nice. So
Neat.
yeah.
There's a question in the chat from Susan Clark, and she says, is there an equivalent of that tool to write on the line in Google Meet, which is what we are using to teach virtual live classes?
I would think so. I'm not 100% sure. I don't use Google Meet a whole lot.
I would think that that would be a Jamboard functionality if you're
Yeah.
using the Jamboard plugin, right?
Yeah, I would think you'd be able to, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Is there anybody here who's a Jamboard specialist user who could answer that question?
You can use it on Jamboard. This is Tracy from World. You can use it like that.
Okay. Thanks, Tracy. Any other questions about making number lines? Not seeing any hands up. So I think you can go on to the next one, Stacy.
All right. So interactive worksheets, or customizable printable worksheets. So there is a way to create a worksheet in slides that works a lot how Microsoft Publisher used to work. You just change your page setup, and you can either create it to be 8.5 by 11 in portrait mode, or 11 by 8.5 in landscape, depending on your own preferences. And then one of the things that I highly, highly, highly recommend doing is make any changes under your theme. So under the slide tab, you'll see an edit theme, and make any changes that you don't want students to be able to move. Otherwise, they'll be able to move things around on your screen. If you've clicked on the link, you can see in slide 1 that I did not put things under the theme mode, and you can move everything around on there. So this way you can make it so they can only move what you want them to move around. So, and then everything is very easy. You can very easily make those boxes down at the bottom uncolored, so you can print them out for students who prefer that paper pencil learning, or if they don't have the technology. Otherwise, the students can move those little boxes and put them in their correct place value. So, yeah, in the link, there is a couple of examples of what you can do with those in there. Lots of fun to
I
play
think
around
we
with.
have time if you want to bring those up,
Yeah.
Stacy.
I can.
We're moving pretty quick,
just-
so I think we have time to show the examples.
Let me find it here. This one. Nope. This one. Okay. So yeah, you can see on this
Oh,
first.
we're not seeing it
Whoops.
yet.
Of course not. Where's my screen? There we go. Okay.
There we are. Yes.
All right. So you can see here on this slide number 1 that you can move just about everything around. I could mess with it all and make a big mess. On the second one, because I copied and pasted everything and put it into the master slide copy, the only things I can move around are what I want the students to be able to move around. I can put things where they belong, so it's nice, and then they can share this with you. You can assign it easily in Google Classroom, and so they'll all have their own copies of everything. So you can make little activities and stuff. And here you can do like a sequence of events. Well, this is what happened first, and whatnot. So, and then, yeah, I have a landscape orientation one. You can see that's pretty much the same thing, but just in a different mode so they can easily move things around and put them where they belong.
And how do you have students do these in classes that like you assign them to do it during the live class, or is this for homework or for teacher verification model lessons, or how are you using these?
I usually use them in the teacher verification models.
Mhm.
And they have all the explanations right there, and then they can interact with these as the assignments and the assessments.
Mhm.
So
And then when you distribute them to the students, do you send them a forced copy link like you did for
Yep.
the participants today?
yeah, usually, yeah, if it's sent in Google Classroom, I think there's a way to make it so that everybody gets a copy.
yeah.
Otherwise, you can change the link to do the copy. Yeah.
Right. Does everybody know how to do a forced copy link? Who's here today? Anybody not done that before?
Can you show us?
Okay, there's a couple of people who in the text chat who have not done that. Do you want to show Stacy how to make a forced copy link of a file?
Sure. So all I do, and this is what I've been told, I copy the link, and then I'll just do it on this screen here. I'll paste it. There we go. And then where it says edit right here, I'll highlight that and just write copy instead.
Yeah, the way that I learned was to actually, you can do it right in the address bar and just delete everything after the word edit, right?
Okay.
And or delete, start at the end and back up, backspace all the way up to where the word edit is, and change that word to say copy. And that's how I've done it. Yep. And then you can copy paste that link and send it to people. So that's super handy if you're doing any kind of digital worksheet kind of task, because you don't want students all marking up the same copy, right? Everybody needs to have their own copy. Sarah, well, that was easy. Yeah, it was one of those things where when I first learned it, I'm like, that's brilliant. It's like,
that's all you have to do.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. Delete some text, change the word edit to the word copy, and off you go. Mm-hmm.
And then they can just share it right back to you, and that's how you can collect all the assignments.
Mm-hmm. So you only have to make one. You don't have to make all the copies and send a separate copy to each student. You make one, you send them the forced copy link, they get their own copy, they mark it up, do their work, and then they share it back with you, and that's how you collect them. Yep. So clever. Any questions about Stacy's interactive worksheets?
Oh, they share it back with you just by using the share button up in the upper right corner. They would just put in your email address. So if here, I'll pull up the share right here. You can add their email address right here, and they can share it back to you.
Yep. So they would need, of course, to be logged into a Google account, right? Correct. While they're doing this, but they can't work on Google products if they're not logged in. So
right.
Any other questions? If not, I think we can go back to the main slide deck.
All right, I think I was on, the interactive demo. Okay. So.
Do you want to get into slideshow mode there?
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
Beautiful.
Just had to get to the right one. All right. So I've also had a lot of fun creating some interactive presentations. So these, they work best in present mode for students, and they can go through and you can add little buttons that will link to other slides in your presentation. So just by using Control and K to add a link, you can either type in next slide where it would ask you for the link, or you can have a slide and then whatever slide number you want it to go to. So it's actually, it's so much easier than you think it's going to be. It seems like it's going to be complicated. So here I just have a little example. Pythagorean theorem, what does C equal? So if they get the correct answer, it'll look like this. If you decide to click on the wrong one, it's not this. Well, let's go look at the additional explanation and steps, and then we can practice and keep going on to the next one. So, and then you can have additional explanations and steps and guides and go
So
through
you're
there.
creating an interactive lesson
Yes,
for students to click through, but it's all built in slides.
yes,
Neat.
yes. One thing I
But
would
now I want to see how you do it.
yeah, so I'm going to pull out of presentation mode. So I'm going to go to this last one here. I'm just going to add a blank slide here, and I'm going to insert a shape. So I really like this one right here because it actually looks like a button to me. None of the other ones do. I'll put that in there. You can decide whatever color you want to do. Make it look really goofy or whatever. And then I double click so I can start typing in it. So if I want a specific message like up above, I want it the answers. I can just put click here. Get that exactly how I want it. And then I'm going to select the whole thing and then hit Control K. And then I can tell it to go to slide 14, the previous slide or the first slide or whatnot. And then if I put this in presentation mode, I click on that and it goes straight to the slide that you want it to go to. If you do a presentation like this, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you write down where each slide goes as you do it. Otherwise it can get a little messy at the end.
So what did you hit when you clicked on the whole button? You hit Control what?
Control K. So just like you would add a link.
Okay. Can you just go through it really quick again?
Yeah, no problem. Here, I'll just do another one here. So we'll just select the whole thing and then I'll hit Control K and we'll just go to the first slide.
Mhm. So if you had been keeping track as you were building it and you had a little notepad, right? Okay, slide 1 is this, slide 2 is this, slide 3 is this, right? Then you could look at your list of slides and go, okay, this one needs to go to slide 3, right? So then could you just type 3 or do you have to try slide 3
Yeah,
or how does it work?
So you do have to write slide first.
Okay.
But then you can see it pulls up a lot of different options. Slide 1, 5, 9, 12. Usually it'll show all of them that don't have a link already. So I can
Okay.
move this to slide 1. I'll choose slide 1 there.
You have to choose it from the
Yeah.
list of things. Yep.
A lot of times it lets me just write it in, but every now and then it's a little finicky. And then, in presentation mode, you click on that and it takes you all the way to the slide you want it to go to. So if you want them to go back to the explanation again, you can send them right back there. And then can you move it around to position on the slide? Yes, you can. So if you want it in a specific spot, you can move it around and you can see that it's still linked there. And you can change the size.
When you save your presentation, do you save it as published to the web or how do you save it so it's not manipulated?
I usually, when I share it so that they can view it. And then they can't mess around with the.
So you share with everybody as view only instead of edit.
Mhm.
And then if you go back to your first slide, I think I remember seeing you had a little instruction telling the students to open it in slideshow mode, right?
Mhm.
So you'd have to teach them how to do that, but
Yep.
I'm sure once they've done it once or twice, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, there's a little bit of pre-teaching involved, but yeah, it's It's a lot of fun to play around in and see where you can get things to go. Are there any other questions?
So we have quite a bit of time left. So what
We
I'm
do.
thinking we should do is we should have everybody look at the 3 links. I can put them back in the chat. Actually, I might not have done the interactive slideshow one. I'll do that right now.
Oh, okay.
Forgot to do that one, sorry. I think we should have everybody pick one of the 3 and go off and spend a couple of minutes and try it. We'll turn our cameras off. I'll pause recording and you can try it out and then come back with questions. Because I know that oftentimes it looks really easy when you watch somebody who's really fluent with it, doing it. And then you try it and you go, wait, how does this work? And then is when you have questions. So I think we'll have folks give that a shot. So I'm going to put the other 2 links back in as well. And for everybody a chance to try it out. And I'm going to pause the recording now. All right, so now that everybody's had a chance to play around a little bit, we do have some questions in the chat. And the first one was from Tracy asking, how do you get your text to appear up and down? And so you want to take that, Staci?
Sure. So I assume you mean like these text boxes, if we want to change the rotation on them?
Well, it was your number line, like 1s, 10s, 100s, 1000s. I did a certain way and I find it very difficult. Is there an easier way to get it to rotate on your interactive sheet on number 2 on the worksheet demo where it says 1s, 10s, 100s, 1000s?
Yep. Okay, so I'm on that one right now. Can you see the screen?
That's not, it's the
Yep,
one.
yep, this one here.
Yep.
Yep. So here, if you just click Format Options and then click on the drop down for size and rotation, once you select your shape, you can easily change the rotation by using the 90-degree flip. And that's
Those
how
are
I do it.
objects that you've inserted or
Yes.
what? Yeah,
Yep.
shapes, right?
Mhm,
You
yep.
can do the same thing with text boxes. So if you insert a text box and then you click on it, you can rotate the text box too.
Mhm.
Did that answer your question, Tracy?
Yes and no, but maybe I just need to play around with it.
Okay. All right, well, we'll go on to the next question. And then if we have time, we'll try and answer it again. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. So the next one was about number lines and going back over how to do the dashes and get them all equally distributed again.
Yep. Okay. So let's see, this one's not actually a number line, that's an image, that's why. Okay, so I will just create a number line, a line here. All right, so I'm gonna hold the shift. So I also see a question that asks, where do you find the arrow end types? So where it gives you this, you have your line selected, it'll give you these options right across the top of your screen. So you have your line start, you can choose your arrows. You can do, you have a little bit of a variety there. Or you can just leave it blank. And then to do the dashes, you create another line. Just kind of the size you want it, however you want. And then you just copy and paste them. And then you can easily move them up so they're all like that. And then to distribute them, you'll move your 2 end pieces where you want them to go. So I want them to start like this. Then I will take my mouse and highlight just my dashes and click on Arrange, Distribute, and Horizontally.
That is so slick.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. So, and then if you want, you can also do a number line vertically and do the same thing. And just select your dashes and then arrange, distribute, and vertical.
Mhm. And so I'm thinking if you're using that in one of those interactive worksheet type things, you would want to put that into the slide master
Yes.
so that people can't mess around with it and just can mark it up, right? I'm not sure everybody knows where to find the slide master. Might be a good thing to show
So,
folks where that
yeah,
is.
so here, I'm just gonna copy and paste so we can kind of show what it'll look like. I'll copy that one. So if you click on the slide tab and go down to edit theme, you can see here you have, I've already created some slide masters. So here I will copy and paste. And then I'm going to move that exactly where I want to. And then that'll automatically save. I'll just X out of here. And then I will go up here where I want to pick a new slide. And you can see here, I've just created a new slide and I can't mess around with it out here.
Yep. There's another way to get into the slide master too. If you go to the edit menu, there is a thing. Wait, you don't have that one. Let me see, why don't you have that one? Oh, wait, sorry. No, not edit, view. And it's called the theme builder. And it takes you in the same place. So more than one way to get to the same place. And that puts all of that content as sort of static artwork, if you will, on each slide in your slide deck. So if you're making a whole series of exercises where on every exercise, somebody's going to work on a number line and you don't want to have to make a number line on every slide, you can put it on the slide master. And then every time you add a new slide, you're going to get a number line on it.
Yep. And you can also just right click on your slides and then just hit duplicate. And
yep, that's another good way to do it too. Yep. All right, we have about 10 minutes left and we have a few announcements to do before the end of the wrap up. So probably another 5 minutes for questions. Oh, here's another one from Theodora. How do you add the numbers to your number line?
so I don't always add the numbers. When I do, I just add a little text box and then I will put my number in there however I want it. And then, oh, I should probably go to this one here. Because then I can group the text box to the dash. So then I can select these two. And then if I click on arrange, I can scroll down to group. And then if I copy and paste, I can have my text box so I can change my number from there. Like
so you
that.
don't have to keep adding text boxes for each
Yep.
one. You add
Yep.
it once, group them together, you copy the item, and then you don't have to add it over and over
Yep.
again. Mhm.
Yep. So when I do add
Big
numbers,
time
that's how
saver.
I do it. Otherwise, I usually just leave them blank so I can use them for whatever I need.
Right, as you were showing with the
Yep.
using annotation tools in Zoom, you know, you wanted to mark it up on the fly.
Mhm.
Other questions? Did anybody try making the interactive worksheets? No? Nobody tried those? Or I should say the interactive slideshows rather than the worksheets. These are the worksheets, I think. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we looked at that one. This is the one I want to try. This is really, it goes back to things I used to build back many years ago, and it was a lot more complicated to build this sort of thing back in the day. It's so exciting to see how much simpler it is, and you can just use a slide tool. You used to have need to have customized software to be able to make interactive lessons, and it was really time consuming, but this is a lot faster than that would ever have been.
Yeah, I do a lot with the kind of interactive presentations, but I also will use them in a worksheet kind of mode. I create my own planners and stuff, and you can link it to go to exactly the month you want it to go to on your slides. So that's kind of nice.
Really clever. All right, well, if there are no additional questions, then let's go back to our main slides, and we'll just do a last couple of housekeeping things, and then we'll wrap up. So upcoming sessions, next month we'll be talking about Google Sites. Jason Brazier, Tracy Peterson, hey Tracy, Mary Kate Lewis, and Joyce Avinsky are going to be talking about Google Sites and how they use it in their classrooms. I just got the session description write up from Joyce this morning. So now that I've got that, I'll be posting the Zoom link and description on the Atlas calendar any day now. So be watching for that to come out in next week's ABE Connect. And then in May, we'll be talking about Google Classroom. And Jason and I will be working with Elizabeth Bennett, who is teacher in Burnsville, and is using Google Classroom with her English language learners down there. So we'll be posting those soon once we've got the descriptions and the Zoom links up. And CEUs, you will be receiving CEUs for attendance. I'll be emailing those along with a copy of these slides to the email address that you use to register for the webinar. And I think that's all we've got. Our email addresses are here on the slide, and you can feel free to contact us if you've got questions. Thanks for coming. Anything else we can answer before we wrap?
On your interactive worksheets, you have, like I was working on number 2 on slide 2. So do you make a copy of it so it's of your main part, and then you, I don't know how to explain it, so it doesn't move, and then you add more on top of it? Because I've done things a little differently when I've done some interactive, but I've never done worksheets like this where the main part is like there, and then you make a copy of it where it's still in place and you just are able to move the other boxes around.
Yeah, so some of it's in the slide master, right? The stuff that you don't want students to move. And the stuff you do want students to move is in the regular slide.
So that's where I'm confused what you guys did or how you did that. So, okay. It's probably play around with it, I guess.
So you would go into that edit theme and put in the theme all of the things you don't want students to be able to tinker with, right?
Okay.
Then you close out of the theme manager and you're just into your regular slides. And that's where you put the stuff that you do want students to move around.
Okay.
Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. Well, try it out. And if it doesn't make sense,
yeah.
then you can email us and we'll walk you through it.
Yep. Or watch more videos online. Yes.
Yes, that too. All right, I am going to stop the recording. Thank you very much for coming today, everybody. It's been a pleasure.